At your places, we have provided copies of the current City of Edmond strategic plan. I'm sorry, the current City Council strategic plan. There is a difference. You notice, well, maybe you won't, but I'll point it out to you. It's dated for the calendar year 2014. We used to do them by the city government's fiscal year, but it was a little more difficult to communicate the information. So what the council has done is we've tried to simplify. Last year's folder was threefold. We tried to also simplify the look and feel of the document. City Council started doing strategic planning as a body back under Sandra Nafe's leadership in 2003 was our first exercise. I can't tell you that I was a big fan and player, but in any case we did it and we accomplished setting out a strategic plan and have to some extent continued that over the years until I got appointed to be mayor. We also went through a very difficult time, or a very unusual time maybe is a better way of saying it, because I was appointed to replace Patrice. We appointed someone out of the community to replace me, and then David Miller resigned, so we appointed someone to replace him at Ward 4. So at one point, there were three of us that were technically appointed. The ability to sit down at a table without an agenda and articulate our common goals for the community was the outcome of the current strategic plan. As a part of that, we also said we're going to do the strategic plan once a year because things change, but we're going to do a grade card at the middle of the year around budget time to see how we're doing. We won't make any changes, but we'll grade our performance against our goals and targets. It's been very revealing. We've gone through that now once, and this is the second iteration of our strategic goals. But to look at it and read it instead of writing it, it's a different eye-opening experience in terms of what are we trying to say and did we get it said. But this is the second version. The strategic plan lays out the City Council's proactive objectives. It's laid out in some categories. Short-term goals are less than 2 years. The time frame is based upon the fact we have elections every 2 years. The next election will be 2015. We have elections in Edmond every odd-numbered year. 3 members of the council are due for election. It's always up for the mayor because the mayor is a 2-year term. It's kind of related to the populist charter we had in 2025. The importance of this, though, is that we set out the 2 years and then we have the long term over 2 years. We set out performance indicators, performance targets. We also set out general policies. These are the kinds of things that we continue to function with on a regular basis. But what we really spend time on most of the time is on the goals, current and future. What we put together here for you today is a little bit of an outline of some things that we have gotten accomplished or are getting accomplished. But I want to make this comment because it happened again yesterday. We lay out as a council what we collectively, I want to make that emphasize that, what we collectively agree to and agree are objectives. There are 5 of us. We don't all vote the same. We have different points of view. But on this document, these are the things we collectively say we want to try to accomplish proactively. But we also have to respond to things. And in Edmond, our growth that we've experienced over the last 2 or 3 years has really put strain on a lot of our businesses. So for the last almost 6 months now, we've been having periodic workshops. Every council meeting, well, pretty much every council meeting, we meet at either 3 o'clock or 3:30 to hear reports on certain initiatives that are going on in the community. Yesterday, we heard a report on a study over impact fees on water and sewer. We've had water and sewer presentations on the master plan. We've had a report on the Edmond Electric Cost of Service study. We've had a report on some things we're going to need to change in solid waste. So growth is a good thing, but it's a challenging thing, and it comes with a price tag. And we're addressing those things periodically, working with the staff, but it also keeps us away from the agenda that we collectively said we wanted to accomplish. But anyway, what we have today, we're going to talk about some things, and we're going to talk about current goals 1, 4A, and 4C. We're going to talk about future goals 3 and 4B, performance target 1, and council policies item 10. I will say, though, that under performance targets, where we talk about our budget, Larry made the report last night. Even though this was a down month, we're still 15.4% above the 6% we projected for the year. We're happy with that, but we're not looking at that as a given going forward. But anyway, we're in pretty healthy shape. First project we're going to talk, well, first thing we're going to show you is the city map. The important part of the reason for this is that we want to show you the range, geographic range of the project activities that we've got going on. The first one, and it's one that I keep getting asked about, is the Hotel Conference Center project. I think everybody in this room probably knows, but for those that don't, we engaged in this project by buying the land the Hotel Conference Center will sit on. What that does is that flows to the bottom line for that period of time that we'll own it in terms of an ad valorem tax relief. But it'll be a 160-room hotel with a 20,000 square foot conference center. The conference center will be owned by the city and be built with another $4.8 million that we're going to invest. We invested in the utilities for this corner as well. The last action we took, which was 3 weeks ago, council meeting, we authorized staff to go ahead and exchange properties. The piece of dirt we bought was at the immediate corner on the interstate. They've asked us to move it to the sooner side, and it's really a better site, but we had to wait on the appraisal to be sure we got equivalent value. And it will be located near some open space and closer to the golf course, which we think is also a plus, and away from highway noise. But it's related to the bigger picture of the retail project. So we are still proceeding with that. The other project at I-35 in Covell is the big indoor Summit Sports Complex. This is 155,000 of indoor playing courts, basketball courts, volleyball courts, and 2 indoor fields for soccer, rugby, lacrosse, all growing sports in Edmond. We also bought the land that this is going to sit on, and this one we get a lease fee, but it is, I think, going to add significantly to our sports-based visitor traffic in this community. I had no idea this industry even existed. My kids never played sports, but it's pretty large, and there's a lot of parents out there that probably know what I'm talking about. We expect this, it'll be the only venue like this in Oklahoma, and since we sit right on the interstate, we expect this will be a generator of traffic and visitor stays and sales, which we do live on. The other project we want to talk about is the 66 Park. And if you've been out 66, headed towards Pops or Arcadia, you've seen this complex is there. We're going forward on the lighting project, but I want to touch on a piece of news that I got yesterday related to the softball group, the adult softball club that will be housing out there. They held an event over this weekend. This is a 146-acre parcel. We have developed 4 fields and a concession stand, and we have space for a second 4-field quad. But the EASA held a Hall of Fame tournament this last weekend with 22 men's and 6 women's teams. Many of the, well, I think there were 16 of the teams off the Team USA that played at that event. That's a first, and I think it will be not the last of many stories like that. And this is right on 66. It'll also be a traffic generator for visitors. So we're pretty excited, and we have other plans we're working on around that complex. This one may not be quite as well known to all of you, but we did hold this groundbreaking last year. Some of you that are new to Edmond may not remember, but Carl Reherman served this community 10 years as mayor, and this decision to name the park for him was made on Sandra Nafee's watch. We've been a while getting the plans for this, but the road has been cut through. The county has pretty much finished their piece. We will extend it on in, open up a new boat ramp with the first phase and some picnic spaces. Ultimately, there will be a pavilion and restrooms and some trails in there. Roughly $1 million spent out over 3 years. We expect to open phase 1 next year. Arcadia Lake Trail. This one it's not the big trail, not the one that's going to go around the lake, because that's going to be a private project. But this is the one that will connect from the west side of the interstate to the east side and take you into Spring Creek Park. It's essentially a 3-mile trail, and it will go from the trailhead, which is the next project, and take you into, these are renderings of what it will look like as a trail. But if you've been out to Sam's or you've been on the interstate, you may have noticed some dirt work going on. This is where the trailhead will be. This is a piece of floodplain where we're going to turn it into a park with parking so bicyclists can get off or get a bike off their car and ride through the trail. Ultimately, we hope this will all link up to master trail plan that we've had in the plans for some time. But this one, we've got a partnership going on with a private developer, and we're pretty excited about creating some energy and a nice view right there off the interstate. This one is maybe one that you have to go find, but this is part of our Public Safety Center project. This is the lesser known PD South. This one's going to be recycling. That building off to the top of the picture is the old garage that we used to have for vehicle maintenance. That's being recycled into a garage to hold the large vehicles for the police department. And then we'll build evidence storage and lab space here that are part of the Public Safety Center project. But this one is off of 33rd. It's north of 33rd, and it's off of a road that the city developed about three years ago and brings it right past the front door. So it was a pretty ideal site for the big vehicle evidence storage and other vehicle storage that sort of expands pretty exponentially from time to time. So this space will accommodate that. The second part of our Public Safety Center project, and those of you who are Facebook friends know I'm taking pictures of this regularly, they've poured the second floor and they're moving towards the foundation supports for the third floor. And the game plan is they'll have the roof on before June. It is a huge change to have seen it go from open dirt to a hole in the ground and now back out. They're moving really quickly, but it'll be a dramatic change to the benefit of downtown Edmond. It'll be the tallest building north of 2nd Street, and it'll set a whole new look for the Edmond City properties, city buildings, because they've designed it. It's a first build to suit that we've got downtown, but it's designed to look like a territorial Broadway appearance instead of a stucco recycled white building that we've been using for years. So we're pretty excited. It's very challenging to the downtown occupants. We still see people drive in. We have to see them be routed out. The construction is, I would say, very rapid inside that fenced wall. And there are times it's not safe to go in there. You better have your helmet and your vest on, but it is pretty exciting to watch. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. And because of our revenues being better than expected, better than projected, this project's ahead of schedule financially as well. One that probably no one's heard about is an investment the city of Edmond has made with an organization called Turning Point. Now, in our strategic plan, I pointed out an area where I think it was in the last part of the strategic plan, promoting affordable housing. Well, we're notoriously, our reputation is it's an expensive place to live in Edmond. But this organization, Turning Point, goes above and beyond anything. This might be like Habitat, but this is way beyond Habitat. They focus hard on helping people know how to live in a home and be a homeowner. It looked like a great opportunity for us. So our investment is we're spending up to $500,000 for infrastructure to make these lots. There is an existing project that we participated in that's on the other side of the railroad that's been very successful. This one's a little more traditional, but it looked like an opportunity for Edmond to step in and make this work and provide more funding for the bricks and mortar instead of the infrastructure, because we typically accept that for maintenance anyway. This is right off of Fretz on the west side of the railroad. We're pretty excited. We did last night, I think we approved the sanitary sewer bid for this. Now the last project I'm going to talk about is one that's very well known by the community. The Mitch Park Y, as they know it now, we know it, or I know it as the ERAC, Edmond Recreation and Aquatic Center. The school has held some major swimming events already, the state and regional tournaments. This is way ahead of schedule. Memberships are, I understand they had a year goal. They met it in the first month. It's a very, very busy facility, and I told the story when we had the ribbon cutting. This could happen because of something that was done in 1992. City Council at that time bought this land for a pittance compared to today's prices. And we have over time developed the MAC and the parking support for the MAC, the recreation fields for EASI and the parking, and all that supports this facility as well. This is a great three-way partnership, and I think Steve's been looking and he can't find any other three-ways. You find two ways, but this one's pretty unique, and it creates a venue for something that has been called for in Edmond for a long time, but it's another sports-based venue. You'll notice there's a theme. A lot of what I've talked about is sports or recreation activities that bring visitors, and visitor development is an important economic engine for the city of Edmond. Well, it was an honor to speak to you today. This is a fresh project for us. We just got these things about a month ago to be able to come and share the story. Edmond does have a unique climate, policy-wise, activity-wise. This is one of the threads that makes that so, is that we sit down without an agenda, without having to respond to applications, and share where we would like to go. I think it lends itself to the chemistry. We don't finger point. We get together and we harness up to try to make a difference. Thank you all very much.